Hi everyone, welcome to Belle's Beyond Show by Bell Sisters. My name is Masichi and I am your host. And I have here with me today Stephanie, who is the founder of Avatar Buddy, an AI company. Welcome to Belle's Beyond Show, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here today.
Yes. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I grew up in Belize and I moved to the US when just before my 18th birthday, went to University of Southern California and lived in LA for 4 years, then moved to Miami. And I've been in Miami ever since. I live in Coconut Grove. I've lived in Coconut Grove for the last 24 years. And I say that I bleed orange and green, which are City of Miami colors. I actually live in the City of Miami. Lots of people say they live in Miami, but they don't actually live in the City of Miami. I do. And I have over 30 years of corporate IT. Started out my career as an intern at Hewlett Packard. Had an opportunity to meet one of the people that wrote Unix. And if you don't know, Unix is the original um, operating system that runs all the computers, who gave me a masterclass in computer science, and the rest is history. Before Avatar Buddy, I was a chief information officer and chief programs officer at a local government entity, and now I run Avatar Buddy, and we make AI agents and digital twins to amplify people and help them be the best version of themselves. So, looking forward to chatting.
Yes, no, thank you so much. There was something you said that I actually wanted to touch on just because it's
Mm.
funny. You said a lot of people say they live in Miami.
Yes.
No, it's the same thing with Atlanta, right? Because I live in Atlanta and a lot of people usually say they're in Atlanta, but they are in the suburb. Right,
Hmm.
they're in like Atlanta Metro. They're not in the city. So that was just one thing that I found very funny because this is something I see here.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, uh,
So tell me a little bit more. I know you have worked in corporate for a long time, and then you moved from corporate to entrepreneurship where you founded Avatar Body. Tell me a little bit about that transition. How did that go?
well, I went corporate to government to entrepreneurship. Um, it's a very interesting thing because corporate was very easy. Love working in corporate. Government was really hard. I didn't think that anything could be harder than government until I did entrepreneurship, and then I thought, whoa. Um, I think the transition um required that I up my game in terms of risk tolerance. When you work in a environment where your salary is guaranteed, um, you people are dictating what you do. You become a little complacent and a little soft. And entrepreneurship, it's all you. You get to decide what happens to your company tomorrow. You get to decide how to respond to anything that happens to your company. And you're having to walk to the edge of the cliff quite frequently until you're able to just kind of like get in gear. And so uh, the transition, I think the biggest thing was the emotional roller coaster. Nobody talks
Oh
about the
my God.
emotional roller coaster that you're on.
Mhm.
Like literally, you could have just had a big win and you're like celebrating, and not even 5 minutes later, you get a message and like something broke, or a customer says they're not going to renew, and that win just crash and burns. And it's just kind of like, just wow.
Yes. No, I mean, obviously you heard me agreeing when you said emotional roller coaster because that's
Yeah.
something that no one really prepares you for. As you said, you could, be celebrating a big win and then all of a sudden something breaks or a client tells you you didn't do something properly, and maybe they would not be renewing as a result. And no one really prepares you for that because, as you said, with a salary, it's stable, every 2 weeks or every week or every month, depending. I think a lot of people is 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, you get that paycheck. And, a lot of times you get it whether you do the job or not. I mean, of course, you should do your job well, but
Mhm.
it's like you still get it.
Yeah,
It's predictable. On Friday at this time, the money goes into my account. But with
exactly.
entrepreneurship, it's not like that. It's not.
Yes.
You
No.
know, you could go 1 week where you're paid, 3 times every single day, and then you go 3 months
Without getting paid.
and there's nothing. Um, and like you said, yes, also the risk tolerance because you then find yourself, doing things or taking risks that you probably wouldn't have taken before if you were still in corporate or well, if you were still working 9 to 5. But
Mhm.
there's also something else I do want to touch. You did mention that the government's work was a little harder than corporate. I found that interesting. Yeah, I found that interesting because from what I've heard from most people, they usually like corporates is harder than government.
I think it's a relative term. It all depends on
Mhm.
what you are culturalized for and what you want to do. If you go 90 miles an hour, government's not for you. Um, because things are not going 90 miles an hour in
Mhm.
government. If you want to innovate, there's only so much you can innovate in government. Um, and most people are looking to why you can't do something as opposed to why you should. So
Mhm.
it's just a different mindset. There are obviously people in the government that are innovative, and there's people that go 90 miles an hour, but it's definitely a different animal, not for me. It's just not a I'm not a government person. It was just kind of funny because that government job, I was there for 8 years, which is longer than I've been at any other job. I have a Gen Z Millennium job record, which is you you come to the job. First 6 months, you're learning about the job. The next 9 months, you're crushing it. The next 9 months, you're riding on that wave of success. And
Mhm.
then you're getting a promotion. And if you're not getting a promotion, you're moving on to the
You
next
look for
job.
the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's about 4.5 years.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, some people like the steadiness of being in the same position. Not
But
me.
that wasn't you. I see. Okay. So, but now, well, since your personality is getting, I would say, doing new things kind of the way it is in corporate, would you say you are adapting more to entrepreneurship? Because that's kind of the way entrepreneurship is. It's today you're doing something in marketing, tomorrow you're doing something in operations, and the next day you're doing something in sales.
Um, I mean, entrepreneurship is exciting and fun. But I think I'm a more of a corporate person. Fortunately, at my age, my next big thing will be retirement. But um, oh, the emotional roller coaster gets taxing. Don't I'm not a roller coaster person. Like I find no fun in going to what are all these parks that people like to go to, Universal Studio and all that stuff. I don't think I've been to Universal Studio, or if I have, it must have been when I was at a conference and they were having like night at Universal Studio, and I just kind of like went and hung out and didn't ride the rides. So
Mhm.
that does wear a little bit on on me, being able to go, the back and forth. And then I mean we're now stable and we're just kind of like humming along, but I'm also not a maintain kind of person. I'm a create, disrupt, build, give it to somebody else to maintain. So my co-founder and I talk all the time about like, look, this year is the stress test. Did I build a company where I can disappear for a week and no, we're none the worse. So I went to Trinidad last week and we survived. Going to Africa Burn the end of April. That one's a little bit more intense because Africa Burn, I will definitely be off the grid. Trinidad, I wasn't being uber responsive, but at least I was checking my emails. And and then we'll see how the rest of the year goes.
Okay. So, what would you say is the problem that you saw that made you start your company?
Um, we don't have enough mentors. And when I say we don't have enough mentors, we don't have enough quality, qualified mentors. People that actually know what they're doing, are willing to share, people who are going to um, um, go out on the limb for you, give you the inside baseball information. And so I see lots and lots and lots of young black and brown people who have incredible talent, but they don't have anybody to guide them and shape them and take them to the next level. And so one night I was at dinner talking to a friend of mine, and we were, talking about how do we make the world a better place, which is that's how I relax. I talk about how to make the world a better place. And the she said something about create a digital mentor.
Mm,
She didn't really say that. That's what I heard. And I thought, actually, that could work. If we configure people in the AI and create a digital mentor, now people, you can get access 24/7. You're no longer at the mercy of whether or not you're in the right zip code, in the right family. Just with a couple clicks of a button, you are now talking to these successful people that look like you, that have had to go through the same challenges that you've had to go to. And and so that started it. So 16 years ago, I mean 10 years ago, that's what I started doing, like researching, figuring out how to do this. People said it wasn't possible. Next month, we're releasing um, Mosaic Commons in conjunction with my own voice. And what that will do is it's a virtual community of digital twins, and we'll launch with about 8 to 10 people. I think it's probably going to be end up being about 8 people. But the goal is to have 700,000 people, 800,000 people. Why not a million? And so I know that that will be successful when people say we can't figure out which mentor to use.
mm.
Um, so imagine going to one place and seeing hundreds of thousands of black and brown people ready to mentor you, give you insights, give you just sharing their deep personal stories.
Yes, no, mentorship, that is very key. That is very crucial because a lot of successful people had to have, well, have had mentors. Um, because when you have a mentor, I mean, of course, you can figure a lot of things out on your own, but when you have a mentor, it saves you years even of mistakes and pitfalls that you would have made in, whether it's your business or in your career. So I think that is I think that's an exciting thing that you're doing and you're building. So now with entrepreneurship, right? And also, of course, building Avatar Body, what was the hardest part of starting that no one prepared you for?
The hardest part to started. It's kind of like I don't know that I started, it just evolved.
Mm,
Like things just were going along, and I would talk to my cousin. I would talk to my cousin. One day my cousin's like, I think that you might want to get some legal counsel and formalize what you're doing because you seem to be progressing quite well. So I think we just evolved along. Um, from a from a entrepreneur standpoint, I would say that the one thing that people don't tell you about is that you're going to get lots and lots of advice, and a lot of it is not going to be relevant. And you will have to trust your gut to determine which advice will work for you, right? So I think that when I started, I was like, oh, well, they said to do this, so let me try it, which was not necessarily the best approach. Um, because some of the stuff that they told me I knew wasn't going to work, but I still tried it anyway, gave it my all. But when people well intended are giving you advice that are part of like just the orthodox way of doing things, if you're an orthodox person, it'll work perfectly. If you're an unorthodox person, it's not going to work. So you need to look for people that will give you unorthodox advice.
mhm.
And I think that I missed that. And then looking for people that are going to give you will understand your personality well enough to give you insight into that aligns with your personality. Um, and so rather than say that this advice doesn't work or I didn't this person turned me down, what you have to look at that is to say, rethink about it from a perspective that says, um, that's the universe saying that there's not an alignment. The value systems aren't aligned, the personalities aren't aligned, and that's a good thing that that didn't happen. So looking at those as positives instead of negatives.
Basically, having a different perspective. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, how would you say that the company has evolved over time? Because I know you said you've had it for the past 10 years.
I've been working on it for the last 10 years. Um, we we took we from 2016 to 2019 we were just ideation. 2019 we started getting requirements gathering and we went to teenagers from marginalized communities to help us. 2020 we incorporated, then COVID. 21, we reincorporated as a Delaware company and we got our first code drop. So it's really like I said, we evolved over time, right? So
Mhm.
these things would have happened more closely together, it's just kind of like evolving over time. And then 23, we went to market. And I would say going to market. So we're either a 3-year company or a 5-year company because before 21 we didn't have any product, we're just concept and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, so I'm sorry, remind me
So
the question again.
that was how the evolvement happened.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. So would you say, I know there are two things I want to touch on, right? You talked about going to market and You
Mhm.
also talked about you had incorporated before and then you had to reincorporate as a Delaware company. I do know the reason behind that, but can you maybe elaborate on that for the listeners, why you had to reincorporate as a Delaware company?
Um, when we got our legal advice, they said it would make it easier to be able to fundraise. And as we evolve and grow, it would be easier to be a Delaware company than a Florida company.
Yeah. So as a Florida company, it was an LLC or a
Yeah, we're
C
still an
corp?
LLC. We're a
Okay.
partnership LLC in Delaware.
Okay, so even in Delaware, it's also a partnership LLC as opposed
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
corporation.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So now what about go to market? How was that process for you? Because I know that that can be a beast.
Um, I don't know. I mean, we were like, okay, we're gonna start selling, and then
That's
it's
just it?
like, yeah.
Did you
Um,
do any accelerators or any accelerator programs?
afterwards,
Okay, so
um, yeah. I mean, and again, right, the accelerators. I have like a love-hate relationship with them, just to be honest. I don't feel like I've been in a couple that have been really, 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 really helpful, but most of them give you generic advice that doesn't align with what it is you're doing. Because in order for me to get high impact advice, I would need to be in an accelerator with competitors. All of us build in digital twins and AI agents. Then that would make sense. But I'm in an accelerator with somebody that um, does here. I have accelerator with somebody that's doing a product to help with malnutrition. I'm doing uh accelerator somebody that sells jam. There's no way that you can, as a instructor or a mentor in that, give insight that will work across everything.
yeah. Yeah, I have been in a couple of accelerators, and just like you said, it's kind of, I was telling my friend, I said, I don't think I'm going to do any other accelerator again, except it gives me money. Because I feel like I have learned all there is to learn. I have learned a lot, I've figured a lot of things out, and um, if it's someone that is just maybe stepping into business or into entrepreneurship, I would advise to, go into one if you have the time. But at the stage where I am right now, I just realized that I have done way too much.
Well, and somebody said when I said that, somebody says I'm being arrogant, and I was like, no, I'm being realistic. It's most of them are like um it's hard to really get the full impact of it, right? Like, so if if I'm in a accelerator with somebody whose price point for their product is $50 and my price point is $20,000, um do, do, there's completely different approach. And how, so what does the instructor do? Say they focus on the $50 thing because that's easier to sell than the $20,000 item. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this doesn't, not helpful, not helpful, not helpful. Um, then I might say, okay, let me not be negative. That's fine. Let's parse through and find a gem. And then what I would find is um the the they I would say, oh, okay, my brain has to rethink it this way. Okay, great. But then I was like, I could have just read a book and done the same thing. Um, what I have found to be very helpful is people have recommended books for me, and those
Mm-hmm.
books have been very catalytic in um this guy he recommended two books by Jim Kemp, which is Never Split the Difference and Start with No. And since I've leaned into those two books, um, I've been able to navigate and get to yeses faster because um, like we're conditioned for loss avoidance, right? We don't want to lose, like we will spend $100 so that we don't lose $20. And having to rewire your brain, especially in a business, to say, yeah, like we'll lose $20 because if I don't lose $20, I'll lose $120 in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And so just doing a calculation and so loss avoidance, like if a customer leaves, what we want to do is we have to do an analysis and say, is this customer that's leaving, is this an ideal customer profile? And if it's not, then I don't even spend any more energy on it. If it's an ideal customer profile, like what can we learn from here? And so not being afraid of my customers leaving makes me do things differently. And last year we had a 97.5% retention rate. It might be a little bit less this year. But just because we're bringing on more people and as we evolve, there's going to just be some people natural attrition as we get more with what our ICP is.
Mm-hmm.
Person might not work with us anymore. But I'm pretty comfortable with that. Like, yeah, we'll lose some people. Okay. We'll gain some more people. And 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 I think that as a entrepreneur, having to be able to embrace that and be okay with loss, and being able to look at that loss and turn it into something positive is key.
Yes. It's basically what you said about just being okay with loss, because I think a lot of times, and this I've seen it across board, whether it's someone who is selling something for, like a high ticket item for 10K, or someone who is selling something for $20, we are very averse to loss, right? You want to keep the client, you want to figure out how to make them happy. But the thing is, sometimes they might not align with the mission of the company, or like you said, the ideal customer profile, and they might just not align at all with the company. Yeah, that's something that I think that is quite key. But I'm a lover of books, so I'm gonna go check what books did you say again that they were? I think you said by Jim.
Jim Kemp, never
Mm-hmm.
split the difference
Mm-hmm.
and start with no.
And start with no. Okay. I am going to definitely go look into those. So now, I would like to know, was there ever a moment that you questioned if entrepreneurship was for you?
All the time. I do all the time. It's like, why am I doing this? Will this work?
Mhm. And what do
Um,
you do at those times?
well, I'm at a point now I have no other choice but to be successful. Um, one of my mentors said, I asked her that same question when she was navigating corporate. Um, And she's like one of the first Black women to be high ranking in tech. And she said, I didn't even think about it because I didn't really have an opportunity to fail. So you just put your head down, you move forward. So yeah, like I'm like so I want to just kind of drill into that question a little bit more though, because
Mm,
for the people who are listening, right? Um, there's the should I should I do this? What am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Um, why do I think that I like they're gonna buy from me? Those are those are your brain wired for self-preservation. So your brain will always want to move you to to safety.
yes.
So if your brain's doing that and you go whatever, and you can have a moment with yourself and realize that this is just your brain trying to do what it's trying to do, and you can move on. That's different from saying, like, you're curled up in a fetal position. I don't think I can do this. I can't go on. I'm having like a severe panic attack.
Mm,
Because then maybe you might want to listen to your body and your senses a little bit more to see why you're having that, right?
mhm,
Because at the end of the day, you're only going to be a successful entrepreneur if you believe in yourself more than anybody else believes in you. And in those moments of doubts, you need to have people that believe in you more than you believe in yourself in those moments of doubt. But in an aggregate, you have to believe in yourself more. And when people come and tell you something, you need to be able to say thank you for the input, thank you for the advice. But we're gonna forge ahead, right? And
mm,
so, like, when you think about, I think about like when I first started, I wanted digital mentors. People said nobody was going to buy digital mentors. So we pivoted into AI agents. And we are actually exceedingly great at creating AI agents because of the background and the skills that you need in order to build AI agents. But I never let go of the digital twin.
mhm.
And so full circle, 10 years later, we're launching a community with digital twins. We got people in there. We're getting people excited about it. This one woman went from like never going to do a digital twin to like she's just going crazy with her room where her twin's going to live, all the like the recording. She's just coming everything. And I was like, whoa, this is friggin' amazing.
Yeah. I think it all boils down to the fact of uh, again, so as you said, there is a difference between if you're, having intense panic attacks as an entrepreneur or just your brain being wired to ensure you survive. And when you tell the story about digital twin and, the full circle moment, one of the things that I think about is I listen to Leila Homozi. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Okay, they are entrepreneurs, Leila and Alex, are husband and wife. And, one of the things they talk about is something you said where you really have to believe in yourself and you have to go hard on that. There is a vision that you have. As you said, 10 years ago, they said no one was going to buy digital twins. And 10 years later, here you are right now. So I think it's that thing of just having a strong belief in yourself, but also being willing to pivot. That was also something I heard in your story where you said, yes, you pivoted. Even though there is a full circle moment, you at least pivoted to what was, working at that time. Um, in a nutshell, entrepreneurship is hard and you got to believe in yourself. You have to be consistent and you have to be really disciplined. Stephanie, as we are
Mhm.
about to close today, what is one thing that you would want the listeners to take away?
Um, Ask why you want to be an entrepreneur. Ensure that why you want to be an entrepreneur aligns with your value system,
Mm,
and ensure that you're willing to lose everything to be a successful entrepreneur. If you cannot lose everything to be a successful entrepreneur, then you're really not a true entrepreneur.
mm. Ask why. Ask why. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on our show. I am sure the listeners have learned a lot from you. So, as we are closing, I am going to also talk a little bit about our community Bell Sisters, which we created as a safe, intentional community for women navigating business and life. So if you're listening and you've been, craving genuine sisterhood and conversations like this, our community Bell Sisters exists for you. So just feel free to go on our website, and just go with the membership that works for you. Thank you, and I will see you all in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank